I'm John Nelson, a cartographer here at Esri, and today I'm going to take a look at some maps in famous movies and TV shows. Things that they get right, and maybe some things that they don't get quite right. Who knows? But I'm going to tell you about the things that I love about all these maps. Before we get started, a little disclaimer. The clips that we'll be showing in this video belong to their original creators. We're only using them under fair use for educational commentary only. All rights remain with the copyright holders. So let's get started. The Indiana Jones travel map. So the first thing that I notice about this famous Indiana Jones map, which I love, is the map is using the Mercator projection. And in this travel line, it's a completely straight line, which is called a rum line. And it's not actually the shortest distance between two lines. So if you had a globe and you snapped, or the Earth, and you snapped a line between A and B, when you put it on a Mercator projection, it's going to curve a little bit. Indiana Jones is following a rum line. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, because like in the 1930s, how are they navigating in these planes? Maybe they were just following a compass direction, which is what a rum line is, and inefficiently but confidently getting to the right place, even though they're going to curve a little bit in real life. Straight lines on a Mercator map, not straight in real life. It's also inexpensive for producers. How do I get my characters from A to B? Just going to slowly pan on a map and have some footage, B-roll of a plane zooming around. It's genius. And it's a map, so of course I'm going to love it. And to help me out with nerding out on maps, I've brought along my friend and colleague, Peter Attwood. Peter is a lot more technical than I am, so he's probably got all kinds of really geeky insights that you could appreciate. I sure will.
Thanks, John. I think my favorite thing about these maps is the way they take the viewer back in time to the 1930s where the movies are set. We can see that the borders have changed and the names of some countries are different from the way we know them now. We can also see how much harder it is for Indy to travel than it is for us. We can see all the stops he makes as he's flying across the ocean. You can't do one flight from Los Angeles to Tokyo like you can today. One little nitpick that I might have is specifically with the one from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's using a very modern-looking sans serif font. It looks like it might be Helvetica, which didn't show up until the 1950s. Probably about 20 years after the movie takes place. Can't be sure, though.
Okay, next up, Lord of the Rings. Let's do this.
For within these rings was bound the strength and will to govern each race. But they were all of them deceived.
They were all deceived. This is one of the classics. I love it. So the film version is an upgraded, textured homage to the print version, which appeared as an insert in the hardcover copies of the Lord of the Rings series, which I certainly pored over as a youngster. Again, maybe one of the first maps that I really felt a part of and involved in, like I could put myself in this place. So the map of Middle-earth in the book inserts was drawn by Christopher Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien's son. And it's very different, I think, than what J.R.R. would have come up with. It's very simple. It's probably intentionally simple for print production. Ease of production, so it's got those two colors, the key ink and that little dab of red that appears in certain places. So some of the distinctive stuff about this, very simple line work, but it was created in conjunction with the story. And J.R.R. Tolkien would collaborate with his son to make a spatial terrain that made sense according to the story. And the story was driven by the map. It's not the inverse of that, which is often the case in book illustrations. This thing kind of set the tone for fantasy mapping. This is it. This is like the template. You've got mountains that are pictorially represented, little baby mountains. Their chains are presented linearly, which are political and geographic items instead of true terrain. You don't have contour lines in this to show elevation. You've got little baby cartoon mountains, which is really cool and really intriguing. Also water lines. I love the use of water lines in this. It's very distinct, bold, repeating loops of water at a certain distance with increasing distance as you go. So this Lord of the Rings map puts me into a story. I can envision long journeys. It all makes sense because of the map. What did they get right? Perfect storytelling in a spatial domain, and it all fits. What did they get wrong? And I'm not gonna say anything. I don't know what they did wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. It's beautiful. Ooh, next up we have Avatar, the big circular 3D map zone that they spin around and whiz through. Let's check this out.
Supposed to be winning the hearts and the minds of the natives. Isn't that the whole point of your little puppet show? You look like them and you talk like them and they'll start trusting us.
There's a lot to talk about with this one. I mean, it's set in the future, right? So they've got this futuristic technology. But if I think about it, there's nothing in this that we couldn't really do now. I'm seeing something that might be LiDAR derived. So they would have an overhead scan of LiDAR, which is lasers to get elevation data, pinging up, measuring the distance as it comes back, but also imagery. And anywhere where that photon hits, it would take a look at what the pixel value is there, and it can paint in the color of that terrain and give you like a pretty good looking 3D version of a place that you can swim through virtually. It's pretty awesome. I'm also seeing underground features. So they have some sort of ground penetrating radar technology. Also exists, maybe not quite as beautifully as it appears in Avatar, but come on, it's Hollywood. What are you gonna do? Something that I noticed when I first saw Avatar was how fluidly he was navigating. Remember the scene where the baddie's like, go, 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 go. Okay, stop. And the map was just whizzing through this little visibility port. I thought that was great. And I mean, what am I going to say about this? It's awesome. Is there anything wrong with it? No. What's wrong with it? How about Peter? Let's see what Peter's got to say. Over to you, Peter.
One of the really hard things about working with 3D maps is that we always end up having to show them on a 2D screen, which makes it tricky to get a perspective where you can see all the things that you want to show without hiding one object behind another. If you're 100 years in the future on another planet, it's a lot easier because you can just have your hologram table.
Okay, next is War Games. One of my favorites, all-time favorites. Crazy scene, AI is taking over. Maps are glowing and there's big screens all over. Let's take a look. Okay, so this setup has all the vibes. It's a command center, and you've got all the trope stuff of a command center. Giant monitors, a bunch of people racing around on little terminals, typing in commands, what to show. Phosphorescent glowing things are zooming in and coming in. It's very basic. You've got a dark background with glowing features, vector-based features sitting on top of this. This is what military and planning commanders like to see. I know, because I used to build stuff like this in a past life. I would build command center style maps. And I knew that if I made something with a dark background with stuff that glowed, the big shots were gonna like it. So the big takeaway from this is the only way to win is not to play, right? And it's like maps, except flip it, the exact opposite. The worst map is the one that never gets made. It's something I tell everybody all the time. Oh, I can't make the perfect map. Don't make the perfect map. There's no such thing. Just go ahead and make a map, and then the next map, and then the next map. And pretty soon you're designing set pieces in Hollywood. What does this map get right? Okay, differently than Indiana Jones, you've got these ballistic incoming items, and they are parabolic in their curve. This is a Mercator projection, and they actually are following the closest straight line. And in the Mercator projection, those are gonna arc. They arc in these maps, so good on you, set piece designers in the 1980s. What's wrong about this? I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't have immediate access to tic-tac-toe in a command center that they could kind of play and teach an AI last-minute lessons about the fragility and beauty of life, but who knows? Okay, let's take a look at some mapping in Prometheus.
If there's anything in here worth looking at, these pups will find them.
Pops?
Yeah, pups. My pups.
Okay, those pups, the pups are drones. Nothing crazy. Makes a lot of sense. He's got 2 drones, he says, throws them up in the air, and they scan a tunnel. Kind of like, you're mapping an unknown space. The thing that's interesting to me in this case is it's the only logical thing that any character does in this entire movie. Not that ever makes sense in this movie, except using drones to map an unknown space. Those drones shoot out little red lights. That's Hollywood doing us a favor, so we as humans can look at this and go, oh, they're scanning. The actual data wouldn't happen in the visible spectrum. It would happen outside of our human visible spectrum. But, when you do that, they understand. Now we know that it's building a map. It's pretty cool that as the data is coming back, the 3D space is being rendered remotely by people on their advanced GIS system. Another thing that comes to mind is this map is outside of an overall framework. They're on an alien planet and they're underground. They wouldn't have GPS that they can sync to. Everything is tied back to the original waypoint of when they released it, right? Everything is relative. It's floating in space, essentially. They've got a cave floating in space. There's a lot like, how we do mapping. You have to have a known waypoint, and then every little bit of data is kind of based on that. So you know where to start, and then you have a framework and you can grow from that framework. Me and maps are really good at getting lost. And in this case, they just have that initial nugget of data they can build from. And that's about all I have to say about that one. Peter, you have anything for us?
Yeah, so the characters in this movie had an extra difficult job. They're trying to map something that's underground, so they wouldn't have access to any satellite data. And they're trying to map something on an alien planet that there haven't been any surveys of.
Prometheus, we are now mapping.
Back in our solar system, we've done topographic mapping and surveys of most of the other planets in our solar system to help probes and rovers navigate when we send them there. We have special coordinate systems that we use for the moon and Mars, and we have elevation data that helps NASA and helps scientists plan the path that rovers can take over the surface.
Okay, next up, Harry Potter's Marauder Map. Accio Marauder Map.
Hang on. This is Hogwarts. And that... no. Is that really...
Dumbledore. In his study. Pacing. Does that a lot.
So you mean this map shows...
Everyone.
Everyone?
Everyone. Where they are, what they're doing, every minute of every day.
Brilliant.
Something cool about this, which actually is like the vibe of Harry Potter in general, is you have something kind of old, vintage-looking, lived-in, worn, like their sweaters and their capes and their hats, but also highly advanced people tracking, magic. And this map is magic. If I was going to base it on something close to real life, it would be indoor mapping and tracking assets. So in this Marauders map, it's tracking all the people in Hogwarts. You can see their awesome footsteps. And shame on me for not actually making a tracking map that uses fading footsteps to show the location of things. I need to do that, and we all need to do that. Beat me to it, please. So, it's magic. But in real life, if we're going to do something like this, every person in Hogwarts would have to have some sort of receiver, and there would have to be a network of known location responders, and they would all have to be communicating to each other, pinging each other, measuring the distance that it takes to send a message, bounce off and receive it, and retrieve that back to the sensor. You have to have 3 receivers tracking that thing so you could triangulate somebody's location in 3D space. It's bananas. And none of the people in Hogwarts are actually wearing any of these responders or receivers or whatever they'd be called. Maybe wands are traceable. Maybe that's how the Marauders map works, because it has to work somehow, right? Maybe it's their little magical unicorn hairs are always emitting some kind of signal that can be tracked in 3D space. I don't know. What do I love about this? I love how it looks. I love how the footsteps fade away, because over time, if you didn't fade away the footsteps, the map would be cluttered. And that's a big problem for cartographers. So that's something I admire. What did they get wrong? Man, I don't know what they got wrong. It's unicorn hair tracking, for crying out loud. Okay, let's take a look at the Muppets.
You can't drive to France, Walter.
Yeah, it's way too far.
Then maybe we should travel by map.
Good idea, Fozzie.
Okay, I remember seeing this, and the first time I saw it, I legitimately laughed out loud. And I still chuckle out loud every time I see them travel by map. And specifically, the thing that makes me laugh is when Jason Segel gets out of the ocean, he opens the window and gasps for air. Deal with that. Obviously, it's an homage to Indiana Jones's traveling by map montage. They just take it literally and in a goofy, zany way, which is the Muppet way. What's wrong with this map? Literally nothing. This is perfection. Up next, we have Pirates of the Caribbean. Or is it Caribbean? I don't know which way to say it. It depends on what I'm talking about. Okay, it's got all the pirate map tropes. It's got the worn vellum, everything's yellowed. You've got that oak gall ink that has a little bit of a fade at the edge. Aesthetically, it's on point. It looks beautiful, it's glorious. Technically, what are they doing here? They've got a circular map with little circle bands that can swivel and rotate independently of each other. And if you align the geography correctly, then its secrets are unlocked. What do they get wrong about this? I mean, there's nothing you get wrong. It's an easy puzzle. It's a very easy puzzle. But maybe if you're a pirate and you're in the sun all day and you've been drinking rum, an easy puzzle is what you need, no problem. When I look at this, I can relate to it a little bit. Not because I'm a pirate, but if you're a GIS person, you've probably been given data that has no projection information. And you put it on a map and it's backwards and on the wrong hemisphere and all over the place. You actually have to tease out which projection it actually is. When Jack Sparrow's sliding this around and going, huh? That's how I am when I try this projection parameter. Nope. This projection parameter. Nope. This projection parameter. Thanks a lot, data delivery people. Eventually we get it figured out because that's what we do. We got to figure stuff out. Up next, Game of Thrones. Okay, so the aesthetic here is this weird past and future blend. You've got like this obviously Tolkien-esque inspired cinematic geographic terrain, except out of this spawns like these 3D printed, like that little mechanical guy who plays chess, automaton features that pop up. You've got an automaton map, cartomaton. I don't know what they're getting wrong about this map. It's fantasy. And the topic is fantasy, and it's a beautiful, engaging introduction. I think they did a great job. It actually reminds me of 3D printing. So you've got a flat surface, and you're popping up 3D information up out of that map. Recently, a colleague of ours here at Esri, Paul Gibbs, made this amazing plugin where you can define a little slice of the earth. Maybe it's got building data, just terrain data, maybe, who knows. You can export that as an STL and print it yourself. I think that's awesome. You can make your own Game of Thrones-y style things. Maybe make them sing and dance with gears. I don't know. It's up to you. Over to Peter for his take.
What I love about this one is it really feels like a descendant of Tolkien's maps, giving the viewer some geographic context of where the story is going to take them. The Game of Thrones map goes the extra mile for this. It changes from episode to episode. It zooms into the places that are going to be featured in each episode of the show. And this is especially important in a show where you've got all kinds of people running around all over the place for helping the viewer keep track of where we're going to go.
Let's jump on over to one of my favorite movie makers, Wes Anderson, and the map in Moonrise Kingdom.
This is the island of New Penzance.
16 miles long, forested with old-growth pine and maple.
The map in this is, obviously, it's beautiful. It's aching with detail. It's got the aesthetic of topographic maps from like the 50s, 60s, 70s. It's a little bit yellowed. It's well worn. The kid rolls it out, plans his adventure. It's a thing of beauty, but it's also a fictitious place. This island doesn't actually exist, but it looks like it could because, again, like maps make things real, even if they aren't necessarily real. They breathe life into stuff. What's this map get right? This map gets everything right about the aesthetics. It's even got the little compass overlaying atop. It's just beautiful, charming. What's it get wrong? Nothing. How about Peter? Let's see what Peter's got to say. Over to you, Peter.
Yeah, so the question with this map is, if you're mapping something that isn't a real place, how do you come up with the coastline and how do you make it look natural? For the map of the island in Moonrise Kingdom, it's actually a mix of the coastlines of two different islands. There's one island in New York and then one island off the coast of British Columbia in Canada that the artists mashed the coastlines together, so you get a really natural-looking island that doesn't exist in the real world, but pieces of it do.
Up next, one of my favorites as a kid and today, and my kids' favorites, Goonies.
I found a map! Yeah. Hey, look, that's that says 1632. Is that a year or something?
No, it's your top score on pole position.
Yes, it's a year, Chuck. Look, it's a map of our coastline.
What's all that Spanish junk right there?
Who knows?
Sean Astin finds this map conveniently framed in the attic, blows some dust off of it, and it's this Portland chart of the west coast of North America. Ooh, Astoria there. A Portland chart, what is that? Portland chart is an old mechanism that seafaring peoples along the western edge of Europe and the Mediterranean put together. It's barely a map, really. It's a chart. It's a Portland chart. A Portland chart tells you, if you're in a known location, how far to go in set directions to find the next location. It's like a breadcrumb. It's a lot like sending those drones up in that unknown cave tunnel back in Prometheus, except with a lot less data. I mean, like, the timing is wrong. These things were popular into unknown antiquity history up through like the 1500s. One-Eyed Willie was not sailing around Astoria in the 1500s, so he wouldn't have been using a Portland chart. He would have been using a map. So yeah, we'll give Goonies a break there, though. Okay, over to something wildly different. The Emperor's New Groove map. This map in Emperor's New Groove is almost like a hybrid between Indiana Jones and the Muppets traveling by a map. It just kind of mixes those up. A little bit of absurdity in there, which is a lot of fun. When I look at this, I think augmented reality mapping. Augmented maps, you put on your little glasses or you hold up your phone, and a true bit of geographic information is overlain on top of the real world. In this example, of course, the cartoon characters are running on top of those little lines. But that's not out of the question in our age. I mean, pretty soon we're probably going to have routing information projected directly onto our windshields or maybe piped into our glasses. So, I mean, being the weirdest example that I've seen today, it's maybe like the closest to reality, which is kind of fun. Over to Peter for his take.
Yeah, what I really like about this map is how it doesn't show everything just from a top-down perspective like we usually see in a lot of maps. It is looking at the scene from more of an oblique perspective, coming at it at an angle. So the parts of the landscape that are closer appear bigger, and then it recedes off into the distance. We see this a lot in maps of ski resorts and national parks where there are mountains and canyons, and it gives the viewer a better sense of the shape of the terrain and the layout of it, especially in areas where you've got a lot of elevation difference.
And cut. That's a wrap. That's all the maps that we've got for you today. Thanks for watching along with me and having a little bit of fun nerding out on maps together. Did I miss any? Are there cool maps that I should have talked about? What are your favorite maps in movies? Of course I missed them. There's like a million maps I could have talked about today and should. Maybe next time, maybe part 2.